All right, we're doing the Country versus Metal podcast with Zac Wilkerson. What's going on?
How's it going, man? Glad to be here.
This is our one. It's second face to face.
Yeah.
Hopefully it works. But yeah, I wanted to talk about your new album.
Yeah.
21 songs. That's a big, bold move. It seems like everybody likes doing the singles now.
That's true. Yeah. It's funny because I try to be a student of the marketing and things like that. And for the last couple of years, that's all I've been seeing is, release one single a month. That's kind of what everybody is trying to do right now. And I really think the idea of that is to try to drum up that some social media momentum. You're dropping something new every month. You got something to talk about and stuff. And I think I think all those people are probably right, but I'm old fashioned. And when I think of records, I still think of an actual record, giant group of songs that kind of
A concept.
A concept, yeah, that's cohesive. That's all. They come kind of in a family, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
that's the way I kind of think of a record, and I had actually talked to a couple people, and we talked through the process of doing like the one single a month thing. And I don't know, just for this record, it is a concept record. Uh, and so because of the concept, I think an album treatment worked much better. The idea of the concept is I was trying to make a 70s record, a 70s Americana record that with, you know, I have a very wild imagination. And what I was thinking was if you got transported maybe to like a parallel universe, you're driving around in 1977, your old muscle car, listening to your AM radio, those 21 songs would maybe be songs that would come across your airwaves in this parallel universe, right? So we've got 10 songs up top that are like a 70s rock record, obviously mixed up, because that's just the way my brain works. So it's a bunch of different bites of maybe kind of what my brain thinks of 70s rock records. And then the next 6 songs I was really trying for a 70s songwriter feel, like Sweet Baby James, the James Taylor record, or Jim Croce. That's really what I was trying to go for with that. It's much different feel from the first 10 songs. And then the last 5 songs is cowboy songs. Uh, and really just because that's really where I started, was playing country music and even playing a few cowboy, cookouts and stuff like that. Um, but also there's a lot of there's just so much amazing country music from the 70s that I really wanted to kind of pay tribute to. Stuff like Red-Headed Stranger, things like that. And so that was really the whole idea. The concept of the record was a 70s album. And so as I was thinking about it, dropping it a single at a time, well, first off, it would take almost 2 years. But then just that idea of, man, it's kind of a 70s throwback thing anyway. Why don't we just drop it like you would in the 70s with a giant, massive record? And so it was, it's definitely one of the most expensive ways to drop music, is a giant record like that on vinyl, double vinyl even. But I don't know. Whenever I have an idea for a record, I get this little picture in my brain of like a final product. And when I mean final product, I mean like the actual physical record in my hands, And this record and my last record, Evergreen, the the final product really was a vinyl. And when we finally got there and I was holding it in my hands, uh, you know, it made all of it worth it. Like, yeah, this is what this is what I was going for, you know. Um, so I know I'm probably always going to be going against the grain and doing the wrong thing marketing wise. That seems to be my specialty, is doing the wrong thing marketing wise. But I don't know. Just for this record, I guess I'm a traditionalist. Still, the way I think about music is as an album and as as a group of songs and stuff. So I don't know. I may kind of just keep bucking the rest of the industry and just keep making records. I don't know.
Yeah.
That's the way my brain works. Like I'm already working on the next couple records and I'm still in that mode of like these are groups that I want to drop, together to kind of set a feel. In my first couple records, I would just get a group of songs together that I felt kind of, usually it's just a story that I have all by myself in my own head of why they fit together or whatever. Uh, those first two records, the EP and Dust Bowl Soul, it was really about where I was chronologically at that point in my career, which songs were kind of bubbling to the top, so to speak. But definitely with Mud and Sunshine, I did put a lot more intention into grouping songs, kind of as a genre, as a sound, right? Like I said, Feedlot Cowboy, those 5 songs, they fit, they go together, right? And Mud songs, those go together, and Sunshine. I don't feel like, and again, this is probably just a story I'm telling only in my own head, but when I think of the songs, if I was to do it like I have done in the past, where everything is just kind of mixed up, it wouldn't tell the story the same way, I don't think, as it takes about 15 minutes to listen to Feedlot Cowboy, but that's a 15-minute kind of a story. uh Feedlot Cowboy is autobiographical for me, and all the rest of those songs, they kind of echo back to that idea of the Feedlot Cowboy and stuff. And so um Mud and Sunshine is for sure the first that I've really intentionally grouped them by genre, and I think I'm going to keep doing that. Uh, it feels fun. I really like the idea of being able to say I dropped a rock project, a songwriter project, and a country project on the same album. You know what I mean? It as a songwriter, that's pretty good little bragging rights. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's funny. Like I love concept albums, and on the way here, flying in, I was listening to The Wall. I forgot at the end of the first song, I was like, the airplane's crashing. I'm like,
Oh yeah, maybe not.
yeah,
That's right.
because even with the earphones now and the spatial audio, you feel like you're in the music.
Yeah, you can
I was like,
absolutely.
I can't listen.
It's a little bit too real.
Yeah, but I love, like, I thought Pink Floyd was the best at that. Just it's like an rock opera in your head. And
Yes.
you just don't know when the songs change over, and I've always loved that.
I've loved that. I always loved that too. That whole idea of coming out of a song and going into a song.
Yeah.
I've never really pushed that envelope before on any of my recordings. It's definitely something that I have thought about doing. There's 2 specific projects that I think I could really overuse that on. Stuff like that. Like you said, man, just making those, like building those pictures, setting those scenes, and they do it with just sound. Really harkens back to kind of the old theater radio, right? Those programs used to have.
Yeah.
But just doing it in a rock band setting, which, Pink Floyd, man. I know you're not a vinyl guy. We're gonna have to change. We gotta get you hooked up. But I have a first pressing of The Wall, and I have a first pressing of Dark Side of the Moon. And the Dark Side of the Moon one is, it's got the promotional poster. It's got a full size poster, and it's got a sticker it's never been used. It's a Pink Floyd sticker, which I've never. Oh, sorry. Yeah. But that record is another one that, like, it's just this story. This
Yeah.
Really, it doesn't really have anything to do with the band. They just created this. I don't know. Yeah.
It's amazing they created it, and it seems like they hate each other.
Oh yeah.
It's not like
Yeah.
I just heard like David Gilmour was like finally because he sold all, and they're like happy to be
separate from each other now.
That's insane.
Yeah.
Just listen to it. It's like, come on, man! Like,
right?
You guys you're legends,
right? There's all of us on the other side who are thinking, oh man, we want to keep enjoying this.
Yeah.
You know? And who knows what kind of hell they had to go through on the other side just to get that much stuff out.
Yeah, I was watching an interview with Aerosmith. They're just like, these guys seem like they hate each other too. It's like, this is crazy. I mean, I guess it is a job, but
it is.
You can imagine working with someone you absolutely hate and everything. Right. You figure like being a band like that and a bus, being at everyone's wedding and christening, baptism, like what happens? Because you're all making good money, you know.
Yeah. I think money happens sometimes, you know. People get sideways about money, and that can makes everything harder. If somebody in the band feels like they're not getting a fair shake, you know, then it's really hard for everybody to feel good about going out. I mean, honestly, I'll be completely frank here. Going out and playing music, there's a lot of times when the only good part of it is the 90 minutes on stage.
Yeah.
Like the travel can suck, the venue can be cranky and not want to like take care of you, you know. Maybe the hotel you got actually is really bad and you went and saw it, you're like, crap, we have to sleep there tonight, you know. Just all the things that can happen. You know, when I was younger and I would see these bands break up, what you just said is exactly what I thought. Was like, how? This is the coolest job in the world. You're making great money. Everywhere you go, people are excited to see you. How could you possibly get to a point where, you know, it breaks down so much? And then after being in a band for a couple of years, I was like, okay, I get it. You know, I get it. And really, it's just, you know, people just wear each other out. I think and I've had band members where we just wore each other out, and it was time to, you know, it's time to part ways. And some of those people, we needed to part ways so that they could continue doing music with other folks, right? And it's not always like an ugly thing. It's just time for people to start going down different paths, right? But then there's also some people that have played for me in the past that once they quit me, they stopped playing music entirely. Like they weren't so much done with me, they were done with the road, you know?
Yeah.
And one big thing with the road that I don't think a lot of people think about is your home team has to be correct. You know, it's kind of like, I would describe it like sending an astronaut into orbit. As many resources and as much energy and concern as it takes just to get the guy up there, there is a huge infrastructure back at home, making sure that he's fine while he's out there and that he's got something and a way to get back, right? And I think touring is exactly the same way. You know, you're out there in orbit, literally just out there, not even on a tether. You're just out there floating in space a lot of the time. And if your home base is not right, it makes the whole thing harder, right? But you know, one thing that I am so blessed in, you know, my family gives me like a blank check to go do whatever I need to do, as long as I need to be gone, whatever it takes. You know, we've obviously have boundaries and guidelines. You know, I've been married 22 years and I've got 3 kids. And so my family is obviously super important, but they know I'll be home and I know that they'll be waiting for me when I get home. And some guys, especially young guys, when you're trying to start your family, but you're on the road, man, that's a challenge.
Yeah.
You know? And I know lots of people who've left for the road to take care of their family. And to me, like, I can't fault that. If it comes down to it and you have to make the choice, you have to choose your family. You know, there's been a few times in my career where I had to make a choice between doing what was right for my family and maybe, playing an event or making whatever thing, right? And you have to choose your family. And there's never been a single time when I chose my family that I regretted it, right? There has been a couple times when it was like on the fence. And I was like, well, do I go home or I try to push through? And almost every time I've done that, I've regretted not just going home and doing the family thing. So when I see people go off the road to take care of their family, I respect that 1,000%. And especially if it's, like I said, if you get to the point where you got to make the choice, that's like, you got to choose your fam, dude. The road will always be here.
Yeah.
These, music is always going to exist. There's always going to be people who are looking for music. So, if it's a situation of, well, I kept my career, but I lost my family, switch it, man. Like, keep your fam. We'll be here. We'll be around, And one thing with music that's very interesting is like there's this idea of everybody's trying to race to some kind of end or goal, but like there's not, like, really the only clock that's ticking down is your biological one.
Yeah.
And you can help yourself in those ways, right? You could be healthy. You can go out on the road and not destroy yourself every night, and you'd be surprised how much better you feel, right? But it's not like oh, you have to get this level of success by this date or you're behind. That clock doesn't exist. It's really just about chasing what the universe has given you, And, I think it's important also to admit at this point, I'm talking about the difference between art and the business of art, right? The art's always going to be there. Business opportunities will expire and you'll miss out. That just happens.
Yeah.
But your art will always be there. Your ability to bring beautiful things into the universe doesn't change just because now you're working a 9 to 5 and you're at home on the weekends. You can still make beautiful things, right? So I don't know. The road is a blast, but it's also it's a lot of work, baby.
Yeah. I still had a 9 to 5. One year we played like 130 shows.
That's kicking it, baby.
Weekend.
Yep.
It was like as soon as you get off work, meet up at the
That's right.
trailer, haul up,
and boom,
just go out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, that's another thing. Like guys who run like a day job and then still play. Man, I have the utmost respect for guys like that. And it's funny because I've run into a few musicians that I play with, and they there's some musicians that are almost embarrassed that they haven't been able to make music their entire gig. But I mean, like, do you know how rare that is?
Yeah.
Do you know how rare that is? Like, do you know what a privilege it is at all to be making anything in the entertainment industry at all? It's such a huge privilege to just be like even treading water in the entertainment industry. But guys like you who worked your tail off all day and then went and played music, like that's like, to me, that's expert mode.
Yeah,
I'll be honest with you, dude. Like I've done it lots of ways, right? I've done it where I had a driver and a tour manager, and all I had to do was show up to a van and get in and ride to the place. And like all the details were cool. and done by someone else. And all the booking was cool and done by someone else. The driving, everything. And I just had to show up, carry my stuff in, and play. That's all I had to do. And that was fun. But I didn't have my hands in the middle of everything. So I wasn't always able to guarantee the level of excellence I like, right? And I've also done it kind of the way I've brought it back to now, where everything goes across my desk first. Everything. Every decision is ultimately my decision, and then I kind of delegate, right? And there's lots of ways you can do it. And I would say to you this: the guys who show up to a bus call and hop up on a bus, and then hop off when the roadies tell them their gear is set up, right? Those guys, like they're killing it. They're doing it on a high level, but that is easy mode, right? There's a level of earning it that comes with putting in a 9 to 5 and then dragging your tired ass still to the van. You know what I mean? That's a level of that's badass, bro. That's like Iron Man type musicians. And guys like that, bro, those are the people I look at and I'm like, those guys give a shit. They are here because they gotta be here. You know, Jamie Lynn Wilson, right? Jamie Lynn has this phrase I heard her say years ago, and it has stuck with me. And I think about it almost every time I'm having a conversation about the music business. And the phrase is, there are those who can and there are those who must. And those guys that like work all day and then still show up for a band call to go out for a weekend, those people must. They have to go play music or they're gonna go nuts, right? They got to be involved in this somehow. And not all of the guys who show up on a bus, not all of them must. Not all of them have to be there. A lot of those guys, maybe they've got other things they could be doing, right? Making as much or more and living a much easier life. And I'm not trying to diss on bus guys too much. What I'm trying to say here is I'm more of like a everyman champion. Those are the guys that I get excited about. People I see kind of, I don't know, like blue collar musicians, right? Like to me, that just, I love that stuff. And those are the guys I get very interested in. I want to hear their stories. You know what I mean? There's so much music out there available, and you would be silly to assume that the only good stuff shows up to your town on a bus.
Yeah.
That's kind of the way I think about it, you know.
Yeah. You're just like talking about that. I would love to know what that feeling's like to walk off a bus. Be like,
right. Well, I've never been on a bus.
Plug in. Yeah, that'd be great. If I know a bunch of guys that are like, yeah, I'm gonna fly home and fly back and meet you all back up in here. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, oh, what are you flying? Thinking like, American. They're like, no, we got a private jet.
We got a jet. Yeah.
I was like, dude, that's crazy to me. I'll be like, yeah, I'm gonna go hang out with my family for a day, and I'll meet you up all across the country. Or the guys that do fly, and their rigs get driven, set up. Mm-hmm. That has to be awesome.
It's pretty nice.
Yeah,
it's pretty nice.
I guess maybe you would lose some of that. Put more effort in because.
I don't know if it's about effort. It's definitely easier on people. It's definitely easier to fly in.
Yeah.
But at the same time, there's a lot of guys in the band. Like I know bands where only the artist flies in, and the rest of the band has to drive the gear, however far it is.
Yeah.
Florida, California. It's like I'll see you guys in 2 days. And I mean, maybe that's the artist privilege, I suppose, of being the guy who wrote the songs and you're paying for everything. I get it. I don't know if I want to say that people have to work harder, but it definitely is. It's a luxurious way to do this, I'm used to driving around in a van. Sometimes I take my car, drive my wife's little car because she's got a smaller, nicer car than my van is. So I'm still very DIY. I own my record label. I own my publishing company. I do all my own booking in house and stuff, and a lot of that really is just because, uh, well, you have to kind of take control of certain things and get them, uh, keep them on track sometimes, right? Um, the last few years have been kind of hairy for most people in the music business. There's been several shakeups with management, booking companies. Um, there's a couple pretty big booking agencies in our scene that got bought up by like a national agency, and so it was kind of crazy because there was about half of the people on those agencies, they got a huge step up to a national agency, and the other half of those people were suddenly agentless overnight. And so, because of that, there was a lot of us looking for agents all at the same time, and there was a shortage. So it just gets kind of hairy sometimes, and it's nice to have the giant machine behind you, but at the same time, it's also nice to be small enough where you're agile, where you can just um, make your own decisions. And the big thing for me, man, I've had some opportunities to kind of, I don't want to call it a golden ticket, but I've had some bigger entities than I've ever worked with who were interested in some things. Uh, but there's kind of a trade off with control. Yeah. And musically, I'm just not willing. I want, look, I would love to be on a bus and flying around in a plane and filling stadiums and doing those things. And maybe those things will happen someday. But uh, as of right now, I can literally do anything I want to do, make any record I want to make. And no one's going to say, we're not sure about releasing that one. We'd much rather you do something more along these lines. Yeah. Which is how it has happened in the past, which is why I haven't been interested in, signing away some of the control. I'm just too picky. I want to make weird stuff. Yeah. When I first started, the very beginning, there was a group out of Nashville that I spoke to for a month or two, and they kind of made it clear where they saw the most potential for me was in like a mainline, uh, almost like a '90s country throwback type thing, and they were hoping that I would, write a '90s country album, and they really wanted to try to, like, we really think you got some potential there. And I wrote a couple songs just to kind of, they asked me to write a couple songs in that vein. So I wrote a couple songs, and they were like, yeah, this is what we're thinking. And then as I'm playing these songs and I was writing some more, I was thinking to myself, I was like, man, because I didn't even have a record out yet. I had one single out, and in fact, some of the songs that were on my EP, my 2014 EP, hadn't even really been finished. And I was thinking to myself, man, if I write a '90s country record today, and that's how everybody gets me for the first time, it's pretty much what I'm going to be doing. Yeah. I'm going to lock myself in. And I was kind of worried about that. And I mentioned that to these guys, and I was like, well, what are you guys thinking about making a weird record? And my idea of a weird record is putting a rock song and then a blues song and then a soul song and then a chicken picking country song, right? That's the way my brain works. And they really were not interested in doing things like that. And I kind of asked them, well, what about like all this soul stuff I have? You know, I think I had Middle of the Night, and I think I had Muddy Waters, and I know I had Poor Man Blues, and I was like, what about these? And they were kind of like, well, maybe we could do something like that someday. I was like, bro, these songs are good today. You know, like these songs feel great now. And that was kind of the first kind of glimpse I saw. And I can't blame those people. Their job is the selling of art, right? And so they were trying to maximize their ability to sell what they thought my potential was. And who knows? You know, maybe it's been that was 12 years ago now, and so it's like, you know, maybe I should have just been a '90s country dude. But then at the same time, there's a lot of my music that would have never happened. So I don't know. For me, I just try to chase the music at this point.
Yeah.
You know, uh, honestly, if I had said yes to those guys 12 years ago, Mud and Sunshine would have never happened. Right? Only 5 of those songs would have been what they were looking for. So I don't know. I have definitely. I guess I've taken my own path and taken turns that I think some people might be confused by. But it's all just so that I have the freedom to chase these weird songs that I get.
Yeah.
Right. So to me, that's really all it's about. Chase the songs.
Yeah. I got it. That's your name on the marquee.
That's exactly right.
Like I always say, like it's a big deal because if like your bass player gets in a fight with somebody, it's your name.
Exactly. You're exactly right. And I have that conversation with musicians that play with me all the time. You know, that's the idea is like if we go up on stage and one of you sucks, they don't go, oh, that guy sucked. They say Zac Wilkerson's bass player sucks.
Yes.
Right? They even when it's you or they know you're the one that sucks, it's still my name. My name that gets said, you know. So that's a big thing I think about all the time is showing up, giving people the absolute best version of my show I can for that very reason. Well, the biggest reason is because people deserve it. You know, we were talking about the blue collar musicians. I feel the same way about the blue collar music listeners. You know, when I am playing a show and I walk on the stage and I see the people who are sitting out there, I know that most of them, they went to work that morning. They got up at 6. They got ready. They were at their job at the time they were supposed to. They worked their ass off all day, probably ran home, took a shower, changed their clothes, ran out of the house as quick as they could, grabbed a bite on the way, right? Showed up at the bar, tried to find parking, had to pay for parking probably, all those things. And they did all of that to come see me. That's why they deserve a really good show, right? But then also, the second part of that is, if it sucks, they did all of that, and then like, Zac Wilkerson sucks. You know, they're driving home that night, like, I hate that guy, and I'm going to tell everyone I hate him. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I put a lot into giving the people what they deserve. You know, I really look at like the blue collar music listeners, and you know, and even the white collar music listeners, not to exclude them, but like the people who work their ass off all day. They literally did that to come see me. Some of the money that they spent on me that night, they made it at that place working their butt off, right? So it's such a privilege what I get to do. I show up and scream my feelings for 90 minutes, and then people give me their hard-earned living. That's how I make my living. It's a silly thing when you start thinking about it in really functional ways like that. And for me, it brings the gratitude back. Like it's crazy. This life is such a privilege. It's so silly. you know, I grew up on a farm, and farming and running cattle and doing like hard manual labor, and it was made clear to me from a very young age. It's like, hey, you're gonna have to make something of yourself, or this is it. This is what you get, buddy. And there was a lot of my life when I kind of assumed that was pretty much where I was going to be. You know, I can remember being, uh, you know, high school kid or college age kid, whatever, like working a, a job I hated, something that just wore me out and used me up both, you know, mentally and emotionally. And you just like, God, this job sucks. And thinking this is going to be it for the rest of my life, you know? Uh, and now, well, you know, the other thing I remember is being in that situation in my life and getting to go to a concert and thinking about it for 2 weeks and like being so excited that I could afford a ticket and just, you know, the night of, like, I get to go and see this person. This is amazing. I get to have this experience with other people who love the same band. All those things, you know. Um, so now, when I'm on the other side of it, I try to remember like there's someone who's at my show that hates their job. They hate their job. And one of the reasons that they stay at their job is so that they can go to concerts and come see people like me.
Yeah.
Like I like that will never escape me. Uh, like there's some there's sometimes my wife and I will be joking around and it's like, well, guess I can always go back to working cattle if this thing doesn't work out. You know what I mean? And that to me that seems like a reality, but like the people who support us, all of us musicians, you know, uh, the privileges, like the privileges we were just talking about, like jets, buses, and having people who set your stuff up and drive you around, like all those things. That's such a privileged. It's not even just a job. Like that's a privileged job.
Yeah.
You know, you get to live like a literal king, like royalty. So when those people show up, you better sing your ass off, buddy. You know what I mean? That's how I feel about it.
Yeah. That's funny, like, because you say, like, uh, give it up. And I I play guitar.
I know you do.
And I always get, like, I'm like 40 now. And I was like, are my fingers going to slow down?
Yes.
And then I'm like, because like I try to find like older guitar players. I'm like, I love Steve Vai. Steve Vai's still out there, and Marty Friedman and all that.
Oh
guy.
yeah, yes,
Yeah. I was just like, I'm at that point now where I'm like obsessed with like watching.
Yeah.
I feel like the speed may go down, but playing like the right notes and the melody, I think that would age because like now like I want the notes to be where they should be.
Yeah.
And focusing on like less is more, which is very hard for me because I'm always like the music.
Sure. Fill it up. Yeah.
But now it's like I don't want like it's weird. Like I want what like Stevie Ray Vaughan. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
the taste.
Yeah, just whatever.
It's tasty. It's not, and what he played was not always like technical or like fast even, but everything he played was tasteful. It was tasty.
Right? Everything had a place.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's guys like Hendrix where he's like, just bend it until it sounds
good. That's right, baby.
Or I go,
yeah. Dude, I got a phrase that I say all the time, bend it till you mend it, baby.
Yeah, it's funny, like, getting older, being an artist, that's because people are like, why don't you just quit your job, come down to Texas and play music? I'm like, man, I'm kind of like old.
Yeah. It's like, well, don't ever give it up though, man. You know, like you gotta keep playing it.
Yeah, I'm too far.
Good.
I love it. And you'll if you don't just give up. Now I'm trying to do like the chicken picking to get this, and I finally.
That's where it's at, baby.
Yeah, when it finally happened, I was just like, that shit took a lot less because that's what I try to do when I do teach people. I said, once you have this, matches this, it's all about how much time.
Right.
But you don't, there's just so much, like the slide, I haven't even attempted slide, but I love it.
That's a whole nother room.
I know, and it's funny, it's like, I'll be talking to guys that are great slide players, and they're like, you can do it, you can do it.
You can. I
got the porcelain slides, I got the plastic, I got the medicine.
Yeah.
Bottles. I'm just like, you just watch Derek Trucks.
Derek Trucks is the dude, man.
He makes it sound like a voice.
Right.
And it's incredible. That'll be the next.
Slide, I would say, dude, get into slide. It's so fun. And you want to talk about, like, slide is one of the more cathartic ways to play guitar. You know, like when you're just, that feeling of like when you're shredding and it's really going, you're like, oh, this feels good, right? Slide feels that way, but you're only playing one note. Like it feels the exact same way, but it's just like, oh, just one note will get you there. You got to give it a slide.
I see the guys do with a beer bottle.
Yeah. Rhea does it with a beer bottle now.
It's funny. It's just some people.
I've done it with a beer bottle before, and then I got beer all over the place. So I was like, maybe we'll try that again.
Yeah, and it's like when I was talking to Tyler. I was like, with like the 3D to the beer shop. I'm like, who wants to play sticky, man? Like,
right.
It gets all gunked up.
Yeah.
It's funny. It's like I'm kind of like obsessive with washing my hands.
Okay.
When you play a show, you can't get your hands wet. Or at least for me,
right?
Like I'll tear my fingertips.
Tear the calluses. Yeah.
But and it's like Steve. I heard that he used to put super glue on his fingers and just rip pieces of his skin off his leg. I was like, I don't know if that's an urban legend, but I will take super glue and do the tips.
Yeah.
Because once they get wet.
If you tear them, it's pretty much over. Yeah. They can't recover if you tear them. Yeah. Mine are so bad now that like water doesn't even affect them anymore.
Really?
I would say it's cool, but you know what else is funny is like touchscreens don't work because all my calluses mess with every screen I touch. So like when I try to type a text, it takes me 3 or 4 tries because the phone has no idea what I'm doing. You know, it just doesn't work anymore. Yeah. But you got to get the chicken picking. It's the big thing is the thumb. You got to separate the thumb from the other 4 fingers.
Yeah,
and then it goes pretty quick after that.
I've been finding thicker picks.
Thicker picks are a big deal.
I've been using 6 millimeters. Like when people won't lend me their guitars anymore, they're like,
6 millimeter?
Yeah, and they're like, you're not playing guitar with that.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I used to be like 1.5 millimeter, but then like I played with a 6 and it just faces my thumb out, and it's
ergonomically, it would be different. That's interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
See, I thought you said I play with a real thick pick, and I was like, oh, cool. What do you? I was thinking like a 1.
Yeah.
You got one. See, I play these Herco Flex 75. Oh my lane, bro!
And that texture, that pick, like absorbs moisture.
Can you people see this? Look at this. Do you see this? That's a guitar pick.
Yeah, it's made by Purple.
God, what is it made of?
I don't know.
Is it like acrylic or something?
I have no idea.
Nylon, maybe? I think that's nylon.
Yeah, it's like a weathered rock or something.
It is.
I love them.
That's crazy. Yeah, I was like, when people asked to, most of my friends who are like songwriters and stuff, when they ask to borrow a pick and I give them this Flex 75, I'm like, oh man, that's so thick. I want to get one of yours just so I can start messing with people. Like, you got a guitar pick? Yeah, man, you go.
Yeah, I gave one to Josh Taylor Honeycutt's wife, husband.
Yeah.
He was like, what the? He's got big hands. He goes, you play with it? I was like, yeah. I said, I said it's very unforgiving, especially on acoustic. There's no one thing about acoustic. When I can hear the pick smack, like when people use it, that bothers me. I don't know what it is.
Okay.
I hear that click.
That click. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's what's one of the remedies is get a thicker pick, and your acoustic will just be
all right.
Friends, but yeah,
Yes, so.
Yeah, my buddy, he's like 3mm because that's what I was using for a while.
Yeah,
and then it was now it's even
that's
bigger.
crazy. Man, I got some. Let me see. I don't know if I have any. Got some picks that were made by No, got some picks that were made by a guy. He does 3D printing stuff for NASA, so he 3D printed some guitar picks for me that are like, you say it, like laminated lattice, like Kevlar and stuff in them.
Really?
Yeah, they're really cool. I'll find some and send you one or two. He sent me a bunch. So I always send one or two to, like, I sent one to all the guitar players that played on Mud and Sunshine. They all have a NASA pick now, an astronaut pick. We're calling them, you know.
That's pretty cool.
But yeah, he has like leftover stuff that's just sitting around and stuff. So he like, I don't know. It's actually it's educational in use because what he does is he checks the density and the flexibility, and then what he does is he's able to use it kind of as an exercise to reverse engineer it, so he can learn how to reverse engineer. Dude, it's like way over my head. It's guitar picks. That's as far as I understand it. You know what I mean? Have you ever been to Guitar Sanctuary?
No.
It's here in town. You're gonna take him? Okay, you gotta go to Guitar Sanctuary. It's like a top shelf guitar place.
Okay.
Like top shelf guitar place. They're one of those places that gets like PRS McCarthy's and stuff. So, yeah, it's not far from here.
Huh. Yeah, it's funny. Like, they make PRSs kind of around where I live. And
that's right, yeah.
Yeah. But the last time I was playing the show, and two of the other band members, they work at PRS. And I remember he just put it down right on the concrete. And it was a prototype. It wasn't it's been released now. I'm pretty sure it's the dude from Shinedown.
Okay.
And he just clucked it down, and I was like, dude, you can tell, like, it's PRN. And I was like, again, I work there. I'm supposed to be trying it out, being it up. I'm like, what, man? Like it's Paul was saying, like, he loves how, like, firefighters tell him that the homeowners will be like, can you go get my PRS? They'll tell him. But
man,
my friends, they're sponsored, and then I found out how much they get off, and I was like, I'm never buying one retail.
Yeah, right.
I was like, somebody, I gotta get into that sponsor because he told me, and I was like, dude, I will bring my credit card right now. It's about an hour and a half away from me, but where we used to play, it was like right across the street.
Yeah.
And I was like, you think they got like dumpsters, or just like big guitars?
Yeah, right.
I was like, oh, man, they probably destroy.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. Man, PRS is awesome. My son has a PRS. I'd like to have one day. Maybe the Silver Sky. I'm such a Strat guy.
Yeah, dude. John Mayer is like criminally underrated. I
think so.
I think he's a great guitar player.
Yeah, he's good.
I love his tone,
and
I really liked like he's right. Like sometimes you pick up a Strat and it's phenomenal. Sometimes they're never bad, but
right.
He just wanted to make one that has the exact same thing every time.
Yeah, yeah.
And I haven't played one, but I do like Strats, and
yeah,
I like them. I'm like obsessed with the middle pickup now.
Really? Okay.
A lot of my guitars I was like an EMG 81 guy.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
And then I just one day heard like a bare knuckle pickup, and you could hear like the clarity of like the distance between the notes was more clarity. And then like I get back on my guitar and like that sounds muddy.
Yep.
And I'm like, I get it. If you're going it's great for
that's
that.
what you want. Yeah.
And man, like it's weird how like, of course, it's not cheap when you change your mind.
It's not. It's not. It's not.
But it's weird how like, especially like listening to like the country, like, listening to the country and like loving that twang and everything. Just really, because like my first amp was a 5150. Didn't even have a clean channel.
Yeah. No,
I didn't need it.
That's yeah.
I would roll down the volume, and it would be gritty, but I never played clean. And now I'm like obsessed with finding like the clean with the headroom.
Yep.
For like, because I got a couple of tellies.
Fender Blackface, baby. That's it. That's all it is.
Yeah, I was amazed at learning Steve Ray Vaughan was such a big Fender. Mm-hmm. I always thought he'd be like more like a Marshall.
Now he's a Music Man guy, Fender guy. Yep.
Yeah, I knew he used like a Dumble.
Yeah, he did use a Dumble for some of his stuff, but he used I can't remember the model now, but he used a Music Man, and then sometimes he would use like a what is it?
It's like a supersonic, or I'm trying to think of.
I think he had a Super Reverb. Man, I can't remember now. I used to know all this stuff, man. I've been such a gear hound my entire life. Like,
I used to look like in Guitar World, the chains.
Yes, I was about to say that exact same thing.
I love those.
There was a website that had all of those for a long time, and they would show you every pedal and how they had everything routed and everything. And I would just sit there and just pore over those, just obsess over it. Like, think, oh, maybe that's what will make me sound like Jimi Hendrix if I swap these two cables. That's what I got to do, right? Yeah. But it never was. It never worked.
So are you like a big gearhead?
I'm a huge gearhead, man. Like I build guitar pedals, build amps, build guitars. I started messing with guitars in high school, just like assembling in them and stuff. I was at a flea market one time and I bought this milk crate that had like the remnants of like 2.5 guitars in it. I bought this milk crate. I think it was $50 for all this stuff. And then I just kind of took all the Frankenstein parts and made 2 guitars out of it. And that really got me interested in just how things fit together. Then, actually, my wife was pregnant with my son, who's 19 now. And I really wanted I think the first pedal I made was a tube screamer. I really wanted a tube screamer, but it was kind of at that time when tube screamer was having a resurgence, and so they were all, the only really models you could get were these like new, they were supposed to be throwbacks, but they were really just, they all came with like an extra clipping section and stuff on a switch, and so I was living in Amarillo one time. There wasn't a whole lot of options to get one, and so I don't think the Guitar Center had even opened in Amarillo yet. And everywhere I was looking, they were so expensive. And then I just kind of had this harebrained idea. I was like, I wonder if I could make one. So just started looking around. There was this company called Build Your Own Clone. They're out of Seattle, Washington. And they would just sell kits. And you could clone all these, like, all the major big foundational pedals, but they also had the ability, you could make every version of the pedal. And so I bought this tube screamer kit, and it came with all the parts and instructions to make like 5 different versions. And there was like the SRV version. There was like, there was one, I can't remember, there was some punk band that used the tube screamer. So there was a version of theirs that they used on whatever record, and so I really got, for years, man, I really got nerded out about guitar pedals and started making stuff for other people. Had my own little guitar pedal business. In fact, Guitar Player Magazine did a kind of a segment or an article on Build Your Own Clone, and they were just talking about how, this is a company that makes kits, but people are churning out like professional grade pedals and stuff. And there was a handful of us kind of from the pedal building community, because we had a forum. So we did all of the kind of, the forum was the customer service. So if someone bought a kit and they couldn't get it to work, they would take pictures and post it on the forum. And then we would all look at their pedal and kind of like their pictures and help them troubleshoot and stuff. But so there was a handful of members and stuff that got contacted by Build Your Own Clone and said, hey, can you, mail us such and such pedal for a photo shoot? And then they put a couple of my pedals in Guitar Player magazine that I built and stuff. So, and then there's a band called the Tejas Brothers. I don't know if you've ever heard of them. They're one of the better bands around, but they had a guy playing guitar for them for years named Lex Cochran. And there was one point when Lex's entire pedal board, except for his tuner, was built by me. Just because I was making stuff so fast. I kind of grew out of the kits and started building stuff on Vero board. And then I started etching my own circuits and stuff, etching my own PCBs of my own circuits and stuff. And it got kind of hairy and really busy. And then, I don't know, it got flooded. There's a lot of people now who are making boutique pedals and stuff. It just, I don't know. I really just started doing it for fun, making them for myself. Just if there was a weird noise maker I was interested in, I would just find the circuit and find a schematic and just make my own, That's crazy. And then I just started selling them to people, and that's kind of when it went sideways, because people have so many requests and stuff. They're kind of outlandish, There was a guy who got a hold of me one time. He's like, man, I want this specific era of big muff pedal, and I want it in this enclosure, and I want these custom knobs and all this stuff, and my budget's like $50. It's like, well, I don't know if I can help you, buddy. You know what I mean? $50 gets me the stuff to make it. So I just kind of got over it, and then but never really quit. Did well at that point. Was still making pedals, but it's just kind of stopped. Just wasn't really offering my services anymore. And then I got into guitar amps. I started building amps and did about half a dozen kind of Tweed Deluxe 5V3 circuits, and then did a couple Blues Breakers, the actual Marshall Blues Breaker amp. Did a couple 18 watts and stuff. Did a JTM 45, and then there was another thing where it just starts, like when people find out you do those things, it starts to kind of build a little bit, and it's like, man, I can't keep telling people yes. Like there's other things I want to do, and so I don't know. I don't really do it that much anymore. I do it kind of out of necessity. I fix a lot of broken stuff. Every once in a while, I'll flip things. Like I'll buy a broken amp on Facebook Marketplace or whatever, because I'll know what the issue is. I'll buy it, fix it for, next to nothing, and just flip it real quick. I haven't done that in a while. But I still have a reverb. I still have my Facebook Marketplace, right? Which I look at both of those. Even, like, I'm not even looking for anything. Like, there's not a piece of gear right now that I've been thinking about that I need or want. Well, that's not true. There's one piece of, PA gear that I really would like to kind of replace some of my stuff with. But other than that, like there's not anything I need. I have all of my guitars are like the best stuff that money can buy. But I still look at Facebook Marketplace every day. I still look at Reverb every single day. Yeah. Just to see what's out there. Yeah, something might hop up that I actually need.
There's new stuff every day.
Every day.
I'm pretty sure Sweetwater is my page.
Really?
It just
yes.
What's new?
Oh gosh, yeah. Yeah, Sweetwater is one of the worst because they're so they're such a good company. They're such a good music store, and they make everything so easy to spend your money there.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, a $10 processing fee, and you can take 6 to 12 months to pay off.
Yes. Yeah.
And then they call you, make sure you're happy with it.
Hey,
you know what goes good?
Hey, it's Dave, and I just want to check on that cable I sold you 2 months ago.
Yeah.
Dude, leave me alone, man. Like I can't afford anything.
It's funny, like I sent him right to voicemail.
Yeah.
And, one day he called me. He goes, "I got you on the phone," and I was like,
Dang it.
Yeah. And it's funny is when your musician friends are on the phone and you know him, and you're like, "Hey, that's my guy too."
Yep.
Yeah. It was incredible service, especially when like they'd be like, "Hey, this thing broke." I'm like, "All right, we'll send you out a new one. Just send that back."
Yeah.
I was like, "Well, that was way too easy."
That was way too easy.
Yeah.
Sweetwater is, man. Tell you what, we love you, Sweetwater. If you want to sponsor both of us, we'll take it.
Yeah.
Man.
That's yeah. When I see the package with that tape, like
yeah.
But what do you think about the digital age, like the Kemper, the Quad Cortex?
I think all those things have their place, and for me, I find that those things fill needs for people, it's not really what I gravitate towards, but I'm still curious. So I've actually owned a bunch of them. I've had 2 or 3 of like the Line 6 floor models. I had a Kemper. I have a few of like have you seen the Spark amps?
Yeah.
I've got 2 little Spark amps that I absolutely love.
Yeah.
And they're I've got the little cube one, and then I got the brand new one they made that's tiny. It's like the size of an iPhone. Have you seen that one?
Yeah.
It's really small. Okay, yeah. But stuff like that, I love it. But I don't know, man. I think it really just comes down to, dude, whatever makes playing music easier for you.
Yeah.
Do your thing, man. I'm a gearhead, but I'm not a snob.
Yeah.
Right? If I see somebody up there who's killing it, but they have a Kemper, I'm not going to be like, well, yeah.
Where's the tubes?
Yeah. I mean, I love tubes. Personally, I still use tubes. I haul around a heavy as hell custom Vibrolux 2x12. Like, I still love that stuff. Yeah. But if someone's killing it on Kemper, they're still killing it. You know what I mean? If they went up there and played their tail off, the Kemper didn't have anything to do with that. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's like that, like Chet Atkins, people used to say, Chet, your guitar sounds so good. And he would take it off and put it on the stand and say, how does it sound now? Right? Because the idea is, like, it's not the guitar that sounds good, man. Yeah. It's me. And so people who play Kemper and stuff like that, do your thing, bro. If you're killing it, you're killing it. I don't care what you play.
I just like the consistency. I can't even say it. Consistency.
Yeah.
Because, like my first 5150, it had, like, an amazing sound. It had like a soul to it, and I don't know what happened. A fuse blew, and it never sounded the same ever again.
Really?
And I, replaced the tubes, the look it, and it just never had the
same sparkle.
Yeah, and
You ever had it looked at?
No, I think that one I actually did give to somebody because I was wondering, like, it's a bias off, and it was all.
Yeah. Any of those? Who knows?
I've had that a lot, and it's like you leave it plugged in. There's an electrical storm or something, and it just. I always feel like my Mark V. The first time listening to it, I was like, I love this, and just they age. Sometimes they go better.
Yeah.
Sometimes they.
I think that's true. I think they do age. I think that that it changes a little bit. Right?
You have to get them like recapped, and maybe that's what my 5150 had. But like,
you still have it?
Yeah,
you do.
Yeah,
you should take it to someone and see if when that thing blew, if anything internally got kind of wacky. Yeah. Right? Because 5150, that's a hot machine, baby.
that used to like control my heartbeat. Going, I had it on 6 once, and I swear it was walking away.
Right.
It was so loud. Everybody was so mad at me, but they weren't paying attention. So I was like, I was like, it was like hurting me to be around it, and then I started playing it. Like, hey, you're gonna hear me now.
I ain't gonna hear me, baby.
I bet my buddy, everyone's eyes jumped up, because they were just kind of like, "Well, this sucks," and I was like, "Yeah, the hell with this."
Yeah.
I've
got a 64 Super Reverb and 4x10, and I played it. It was an inheritance. My wife's granddad left it to me, and he left me that and a Hagstrom Super Swede. You know what that is? It's like a Les Paul, but it's made in Sweden. It is, and it's an incredible guitar. Like, it's as good as, well, I would say it's better than many Les Pauls. Anyway, but that Super Reverb, after I got it, I recapped it, and it was playing so perfect. And I didn't tell the guys in the band, but we were playing at the old Magnolia Motor Lounge, which Magnolia Motor Lounge, called Mags. Old Mags was kind of in this spot that was really like a high traffic area, part of town in Fort Worth. And it was just a really, really cool spot. But it's like a small club, right? And I took my Super Reverb and set up my Super Reverb on the stage. And about 4 songs in, the guy that played keys, Daniel Davis, we're sitting there playing, and this next song has like a super long intro, right? And so we're kind of like going through it, and he's like, we're sitting there playing, and I'm like, "What's up, man?" He's like, "Don't ever bring that again," because it was so loud, and I was happy as a clam, but Daniel unfortunately was sitting down, so he's at like head level with a Super Reverb, and he was just dying. But I had fun. You know what I mean?
The way those amps just move air.
Yes.
It's some of those modelers.
Do you have any like old Silver Faces? Do you have any like Fender amps?
I don't think I've ever owned a Fender amp.
Bro.
I have the EVH 5150, which is made by Fender.
Yeah, that is, yeah.
But
man, I gotta tell you, dude, those Silver Face circuits, that's it. That's where you want to talk about chicken picking, bro. Get you a Princeton.
Yeah.
Get your Princeton. Like, that's.
I was looking into them, or maybe like a Dr. Z.
Nah, I do love Dr. Z.
Yeah, they're expensive.
I had a Carmen Ghia that I toured on a Carmen Ghia for 2 years, and I played an overdrive pedal into a compressor into the old school 1-knob Carmen Ghia with just the volume pedal, or just the volume knob and the tone knob, or two knob, I guess. Yeah, I love Dr. Z. They're incredible. I needed something with a little bit more headroom. That's why I actually traded I had a Fiesta Red Dr. Z Carmen Ghia that matched my guitar. And I was really wanting, I was going to get the next size up Carmen Ghia. Which one is it? It's like I had a Z34, and I also had 3 Dr. Z's at the same time at one point. I had the Carmen Ghia, the Z34. What was the other one I had? Maybe a Prescription for a little bit? Gosh, dude, I can't remember now. I've been through so many amps. But that Vibrolux, dude, the Vibrolux is my favorite amp I've ever owned. Mine's a custom. It's got 2 12s in it. They usually come with 10s. Mine's got 2 12s in it. Ted Weber's. The big blue, I think they're called the Blue Bells. They're huge. The bell is like this big around, like that long on the back of it. It's huge. But if you're wanting to talk about like that country twang, it's Fender Blackface or Silverface, Fiberlux, Deluxe, any of them. Princeton though, Princeton is, you gotta get a Princeton, bro, because Princeton can do everything.
Yeah.
Princeton can give you the super high cleans, the high headroom cleans, but then if you crank that sucker, I mean, it'll give you old school breakup. You know, it's low watts, and so it doesn't get crazy loud, but you can get all the old school tube, like the low gain break, right? Nothing beats a Princeton. Nothing beats a Princeton.
Yeah, that's my buddy always. He's like, "How have you never heard a Fender amp?" I'm like, that's.
Yeah, I'm kind of surprised too. Like I felt like almost every, well, this is also like a guitar player coming from Texas and Oklahoma. Like I feel like almost every guitar player I've known has been through the Fender phase. You know,
Yeah.
Your background's a little different because you come from the metal side.
Yeah.
You come from the rock side. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like all like the country guys. It's always like, for their like travel rigs is the Blues Junior.
Yep.
With the pedal board.
Yep.
And some of that they sounds great.
Sounds like $1 million.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they're cheap. Like
Blues Junior. Yeah, you can get. I mean, I got a Blues Junior one time for $300.
Wow.
I mean, they're kind of they're heavily underrated, but I hope they stay that way so I can keep affording one.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. You know what's crazy is my addiction with amps though is Silvertones. I have 9 Silvertone amplifiers, and the newest one is a 63. They're all like from 59 to 63, the little student amps, you know? And that's what I play almost all of my guitar solos on for my records. Like when you hear them, like my guitar doesn't get that way very often, but if you hear my guitar really blown out, lots of gain, just like wow, screaming, it's a little amp like this big. You know what I mean? That we just put in a room and close mic'd it on the front, mic'd it on the back, and then put something so like at the other end of the room to get kind of some room movement. And then you mix those 3 just right, and it sounds like you're playing out of a wall of Marshall stacks, but it's just this 10 watts, you know.
Lunchbox.
yeah, it is. It's crazy because like I don't know, a lot of people don't know this, but like Jimmy Page, you know what his favorite guitar in the studio was, don't you?
What his favorite guitar
in the studio, like he recorded almost every single lick with one guitar.
Oh really?
It's a Telecaster.
Oh really?
And a student Supro amp, a small like 10 or 15 watt student amp, and a Telecaster is the Led Zeppelin sound, and people think it's that Les Paul with the Marshall stack, and it's really not. It's those low gain pickups, right? Single coil, lots of clarity, tiny wattage amp. You crank that sucker and it sounds enormous once you put it through a microphone.
Yeah.
And that's the secret that a lot of people don't know. That's kind of one of the rock secrets of the world is tiny little amps cranked all the way with a mic in front of them. That's the rock sound. It's not actually stacks.
Well, a lot of people don't know, like, those stacks, 9 times out they're fake.
Yep.
They're just, you go behind them.
Man, I took my nephews to Ozfest one year, and they were both in high school, and their dad couldn't go, so they were going to be out of luck if they didn't have an adult. So I was the cool adult that took them, you know. And then, like I said, both high school kids, real young guys, and they were really excited, and so they're like, we want to get there as soon as the gates open, which was like 4 hours before the first show. I was like, okay, that's fine, you know, we'll go. I was like, I'll take them and they can see that nothing happened before the show. And so we went and we got a pretty cool place to sit, kind of in the lawn, you know, and we were just sitting there and they were still bringing stuff on stage. And we see this guy come from one of the side stages and he's got this huge push cart, kind of like those ones they have at like Home Depot or Love's, you know, or Lowe's, you know, like a big cart like that. And he's got like 10 Marshall cabs stacked on this thing, right? And he's pushing it out, and I'm like watching this, but I'm watching him, and as he's put, like, there's no strain whatsoever in his push. He's just like, tooting out there. And so as he's going, like, walking across the stage with it, I notice kind of over by the drum riser, there's already like a line of half stacks beside the drums. And then I see this guy walk out with a big kind of like A-frame folding ladder. He walks out and he opens it up and he climbs back up there. And he's standing on the ladder, kind of over the first full stack. And the guy that's pushing the cart reaches down and he grabs one of the cabs and he just tosses it up. Right? And they do like 2 or 3 of them, and I'm like, what is going on? And then like the next one goes up, and I realize it's just a cardboard box. It's completely empty in the back. And they're chunking these cabs up there, and they set them up all nice, and they've got like, they're plugging in little lights, and then pretty soon all the power lights go boop, 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 turn on. I'm like, oh, you gotta be kidding me, bro. But they had probably, on the stage, they probably had 20 stacks. And I think probably one of them, maybe now that I think of it, we were just talking about digital rigs. Probably they were all cardboard boxes, and the guy who was playing guitars was just plugging it into a Kemper with ears. You know what I mean? Like,
probably. Or there's still like the purists like that'll probably never go digital. Like, I feel like Steve Morris will never.
Right.
Guys like that.
Yeah. Rio Tripiano will never go digital.
No.
In fact, when he played with me this week for the TV show, he sent me a text earlier that morning and said, "Hey man, I'm just bringing my custom Princeton half stack, which is really, it's not even a stack, it's like a head and a 1x12. He said, I'm not bringing any pedals or anything. I'm just going to plug straight in and crank it." I was like, do what you do, baby. And that's all he did. He just, that's it. That's all you need, Guys like Rio I will never go digital. I mean, I will be the old man. You'll see me walking in with my walker. Like you'll see me arrive to a show one day, and I'll have my walker, and I'll go like this, and then I'll move my amp, and then I'll go like this, and then I'll move my amp. That's going to be me. I'll just never be able to get rid of it.
Yeah, there is, even if it's like 90% there.
Yeah.
It'll never be
There's just something about it that I don't think can be replicated.
Yeah.
And like I said, I've owned a handful of those things. I've tried to get that sound, but there's nothing sounds like a tube.
Yeah.
Nothing sounds like a 12AX7. Nothing does.
That's why I was getting worried. Like, everyone was worried about like the Ukraine, and I'm like,
yeah, because the tube factories.
Yeah, I was like, do I have to stock up on like Soundtex and all those tubes?
Yep. Yeah.
I was getting worried.
Man, I remember that. I remember that there was about 6 months there where there was kind of this conversation that like, hey man, tubes might be a thing that goes away.
Yeah.
If this war progresses, and that's kind of a crazy and scary thing to think about. Like that we've got every purist guitarist in the world is really needing that one factory to keep going. It's nuts.
Crazy. Like the whole world.
Yeah.
And like now, like sometimes like these storms, like turns out Puerto Rico does all of our IV bags.
Yeah.
It's like, that's how main source that is. Because because I know a lot of guitar players, but like, did you buy your tubes?
Yeah, right.
Thankfully, I have.
Yeah. It was funny because during that time, I was looking for something else, and I found this box that had about, 20 tubes in it. And I was thinking to myself, gosh, it's like striking gold. Like finding a Babe Ruth baseball card in your dad's old, closet or whatever. Like, oh wow, this is worth a lot of money. And I looked it up, and I think it was a few $100 just because tubes were going crazy at the time. I think my understanding is that that's all settled down a little bit.
Yeah.
Keep buying your tube amps, kids.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a whole nother thing. Like, right? You never knew you were going to be there with your your multimeter spinning things.
Yeah.
You can die if
you can die with a tube amp. Yes.
Yeah.
Like tube amp will
keep your hand in your pocket so the current doesn't go across your heart. And it's just like, as a young kid, I'm like, do I really have to buy this thing? And then it was like, then it came out with the match sets, and everything, and I was like, man, this is just getting too complicated sometimes. But at least like PRS puts everything on the back, and you can spin it from the back now with the
PRS amps.
Yeah, they have like the points where you can just or you just get a cold bias amp.
Right.
Never mess with it.
Right.
That was one of my reasons.
I do like a cold bias.
Yeah, that's fine. I was like, oh, Mason Boogie don't ever have to bias me in.
Yep. So that's why I love an 84, EL84, baby. You just plug them in and go. You don't have to do anything. Yeah. Yeah.
That's like it's the different sounds, like the 6L6 GC or the EL, the 34s, the 84s. It's just, I used to work with a guy that he was a purist, and he probably had 40 to 50 guitars, and he was obsessed with tubes, but obsessed with the fact that you don't need to do nothing. He said, you just put them in, man. You just, boom, there it is. Yeah. You get your match sets, and I'm like, okay. I'm like, how long did it take you to find the set? And he goes, 3 weeks. But
right, exactly.
He's like, man, it don't matter. I'm like, no, because we were having an argument. I said, I swear these sounds different. He's like, no, they don't sound different. And he like, they're like groove tubes. They're just rebranded. And he was obsessed with making sure everyone knew that, you can buy them over here. It's the same thing, but it's a whole there's like a genre of like people that are obsessed with tube amps and the guitar players.
Yes. There's all these kind of like, what's the word? Focus groups, I guess, is a way to say it. But there's people who they get really caught up in these tiny details about, well, this amp has, this resistor in this part of the circuit, and this amp, and like I used to be one of those people. I get so nerded out about it, but it's like, I don't know, it's a fun thing, and it's really interesting to chase it all down. But then after I started playing all the time, it's like I could, like, those details weren't as important to me anymore. Yeah. Because it's like you said, I would go out and see guys absolutely killing it on a Blues Junior. You know what I mean? So it kind of, all those arguments start to just kind of go away, because it's like, you don't need all this crazy stuff. It really comes back to what's fun for you.
Exactly. Like, a lot of people say like tones and fingers. I'm like, man.
Yes and no, yeah.
Yeah, and I'm like, I can play my one amp that I don't like as much, but if I play that amp that I love, I play so much better. And probably because I'm happy with it. It's like when I'm at a party and people are like, oh, you play guitar here, and they hand me an acoustic. I'm like, now you're gonna watch me play acoustic and be like, all right, but if you give me electric, you're like,
that's different.
Oh,
yes,
exactly. Guitar player, but I've never. There's some people that are amazing on acoustic, and that's just not me. I like my 12 string until it's time to restring it. But I'm like cowboy chord, just Pink Floyd. I'm just not a good acoustic guy. Yeah, I've never liked playing them because I want to play like Stevie Ray Vaughan and all that shit stuff. You're just not doing it on unless you like a lot of like. I'm not saying it's not hard, but those bluegrass rides. Yeah. If you know what you're doing, they're easy. And it is kind of cool when you're playing. They're playing all the opens. Yeah. It sounds like you're playing a lot faster than you are, but I can't hold a tune. You know what I mean? Like, okay, yeah. If I'm playing with people, I'm fine, but like an acoustic by yourself, right? I'm not like unless it's like take a picture by filter. You know, like it has to be like a cool grooving song.
Do it for the clout, baby.
Yeah.
Right?
But like, yeah, I'm not a...
Man, I tell you what, one of the best things that ever happened to me was I kind of got to this point where I feel the same way about acoustic. Like I have a couple Martins. I have some beautiful acoustic guitars. But when I'm thinking about a song, probably 99 times out of 100, I'm thinking in terms of electric guitar. Like when I am, envisioning the music, it's electric guitar playing it. An acoustic guitar could probably do it, but what I hear is electric guitar. And it's been that way for me for years, but I was playing acoustic a lot because, you're a singer-songwriter in Texas. It's pretty useful to be able to play acoustic guitar. So I had a couple acoustics, and I was still playing them and stuff. And then I kind of just, one day, I had a solo show. I think it was, if I remember correctly, it was really wasn't a big deal. Like it was like a patio, you know what I mean? And I was playing for people who were eating chicken wings or something. So it wasn't like a super important gig. And I think the understanding was that I was going to show up with an acoustic guitar. And I was packing up gear for my stuff, or packing up gear for the show, and I found myself, I was reaching for the acoustic guitar, and I was thinking to myself, okay, this will be all right. I don't, not really enjoying playing. It was getting to the point where solo shows weren't fun, mostly because I had to play acoustic guitar. I had this thought, I could play electric guitar solo. I'm going to have to approach it differently, obviously, but I could do that. And I just kind of bit the bullet. I showed up with a little amp and my pedal board and my electric guitar, and the guy was like, "Are you going to play electric?" It's like, "Yeah." It's like, "Solo?" "Yeah." He's like, "Okay. All right." He's like, "It's weird, always so used to singing acoustic guitar." So I went up and I played the show, and I was like, man, this was actually really fun because I wasn't fighting a guitar I didn't like that much. So I've been doing that for a few months, and then it kind of came around that I met Walt Wilkins, and he was producing my first record. And while we were in the studio, I showed up with all my electric guitars, and I brought the acoustic I had. And we had this conversation about the guitars and stuff and what I was going to play on and stuff like that. And I had the same conversation I had with you just now. Like, man, I just got to the point where acoustic's not as fun. I want to play electric all the time. That's what I'm hearing. And Walt looked me in the eyes and he goes, "I give you permission to never play acoustic ever again." And that was all I needed. I was like, yes. Like Walt Wilkins gave me permission to do this. Now I'm never going to do it. And so I didn't touch an acoustic guitar for 6 or 7 years. I sold the couple that I had and just stopped even entertaining the idea.
Yeah.
And what's crazy now is that's what people expect. If I was to show up with an acoustic guitar, people would be really weirded out. They expect to see that red Strat.
Yeah.
And I've also had some musicians tell me that they started doing it too, specifically because they saw me playing solo on electric, and they kind of, I guess it gave them permission to try it, And it's kind of interesting. I think that's what people assume you're going to see when you see someone solo and they're up there singing a song or whatever. For me, it just seems like the most natural thing to be up there by myself with electric. I give you permission to never play acoustic ever again. Just play what you like, dude.
Yeah. The only reason I'll pick up my acoustic is to get my finger speed up because, the top string's 53.
Yeah.
It's strength of my hand.
That does help with strength for sure. Yeah.
But other than that, I'm not a fan.
Do you ever do the thing where you practice on the acoustic get it solid on acoustic, and then try to transfer that same practice to electric, just for the change and ease. Have you ever done that?
No.
Like learn an electric guitar part on the acoustic and get it clean on the acoustic.
Okay.
And then when you move to electric, it's like, oh, it's so easy because you're not fighting the acoustic anymore.
Yeah.
I do that quite a bit now. Actually, I do it a lot more often now because I broke my hand last year working on my daughter's car. So stupid. It was like, and it was the tiniest little break.
Yeah.
It was like a tiny chip fracture off the very end of this bone right here, but it still stopped me dead in my tracks for about 6 or 8 weeks. And when I was actually allowed to start playing guitar again, I started trying on acoustic because the strength it required, I really needed that exercise. And now, like, it's funny because I did that all these last couple weeks, rehearsing for the TV show. I would practice the songs for about 30 minutes on acoustic, and then I would transfer over and then play the songs like I was actually going to play them on electric. And it helps a lot with strength, with dexterity, and it actually helps with some speed because acoustic's a lot. If you're playing acoustic like you would play your electric, it's a lot slower.
Yeah.
We were talking about the G runs and things. You can get pretty fast on that open stuff, but if you're playing it like you would typically play an electric, it's quite a bit slower.
Yeah.
So it's just a good exercise to get some strength up, get some movement, stuff like that.
Yeah. You breaking your hand is how I got introduced to your music.
Oh, really?
Because Lauren Morris.
Okay.
She's I think she's managing Courtney Patton right now. I don't know.
Oh, okay.
She was like, listen, my buddy Zach broke his hand. Can you? And then turned to Courtney, broke her leg. And she's like, can you do stuff for that? And that's how I found out about your music.
Oh, really? Okay.
So, yeah, he's a guitar player. He broke his hand, and he's probably not feeling so good right now.
I wasn't. No.
Yeah,
no.
I couldn't imagine.
Yeah.
Like when I used to work out in the field, I'd be like,
yeah,
pulling tension on these wires, and then just seeing ghost ship just.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
I'm like,
it's funny. I'm still that way. I told myself, my wife made me promise I'd never work on a car again when I broke my hand, and then a couple weeks ago, I bought an old car.
I saw.
I bought a 1960 Corvair, and I have been dying to start working on it. But last time I broke my hand working on a car, it was like 2 weeks before I was supposed to film Texas Music Scene. And so this last time I was like, okay, I'm not gonna work on my car until I filmed Texas Music Scene, just because I was a little superstitious. But I'm still the same way, I'm like, even when I'm working on something, I'm constantly like, all right, I got to think about this. Just take a couple 10 seconds extra just to be like, okay, how do I not mess myself up? Because I've always worked with my hands, always worked on cars and stuff, tractors, whatever, and I'm one of those kind of get in the zone and I start working and I look up and I got a big cut on my hand or whatever. I'm like, oh crap, what did I do? Like, all right, well, rub some dirt on it, keep going, But when you play guitar for a living, you have to kind of rethink that.
Yeah.
You got to rethink that mindset, be a little bit more cognizant of, okay, this is actually how I make my money. I can't destroy these things.
That's like even when we're at a bar and somebody's drunk and oh, don't even want to. I don't even want to. No, it's just kind of thing.
Nope. Charity. Yeah, it's not even worth it anymore.
Because once you break something, it's never.
Yeah. I think a lot of that comes also with some age and maturity. I think I'm 44 now. I've had enough things where I said to myself, screw it, I'll just do whatever. And I hurt myself. And you're like, crap, it takes a long time to get healthy now. And so now you get older, you're like, I don't want any part of that. That's all a young man stupid stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
people like, I'm pretty fortunate. Nobody really, my fans aren't really the type of like get drunk fight type of fans. You know, it's happened once or twice when I've been out and about and someone wants an issue or whatever, and I was like, bro, you win. I don't even care. You win, buddy. You're the big guy. You good for you.
Yeah, I'm the same way.
I think it just comes with experience.
Yeah. But it costs money.
Right? Who can afford that?
Yeah. And you never know. Like the guy I worked with, his brother was defending himself. And ended up,
Dang.
that guy never got back up.
That's scary, man.
And he did some time for it. You know, he had nothing to do with it. He was defending himself, and it just, you know.
Gosh.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's like, it's just not worth it.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't care. My ego died a long time ago.
Yeah.
You know, there was some hospital visit at some point where my ego just finally never got back up. You know? And then after that, it's like, I don't care, bro. You guys.
I want to wake up, play guitar, and have fun.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know?
Mm-hmm.
That's leave the drama for your mama.
That's right. That's right. Plus, in the music world, man, we're out. It's like the coolest thing in the world. You're out playing music and hanging out with cool people, and usually at a cool spot. And like, bro, this is not the place for not fun. This is the happy place. This is the happy. You know, it's crazy. Like, there's a lot more people who are interested in and play guitar than even records, but there's record stores everywhere now.
Yeah,
you know?
I do see that coming back.
Yeah, which is cool. I'm glad record stores are coming back, and that's a cool thing. But man, I wish there was more guitar stores.
Yeah.
But oh well. You know, maybe that's just because all I do is think about guitar all day. I think that everybody wants to think about guitar all day. You know? So, have we gone over, Talbot?
No, you're good.
Talk too long.
No. I can go as long as you want. I'm just giving you the heads up.
Cool.
So,
Oh, it has been.
Yeah. It's either trading picks or I'm Dave from Sweetwater, the name of this podcast.
Oh, yeah.
Trading picks.
Oh, nice.
Or, hey, it's Dave from Sweetwater.
Dave from Sweetwater is pretty good.
Yeah.
Dave.
We struggle with coming up with names sometimes.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
It's tough when you sit back and you go, all right, that was it for sure.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. It's cool. I hope it comes out.
Yeah,
I think
awesome.
we'll be good. You're welcome to join us tonight if you want.
Okay.
We're going to be
Where you guys going?
Lava Cantina.
Oh, that's right. You told me.
Gio's
Gio.
playing. Yeah. So if you want, just holler and I'll send you the ticket.
Okay.
And if not, that's fine too.
No, it's okay. I'm probably gonna be hanging out with the fam tonight.
Yeah.
You know, if I can get them all in the same house.
Nice. Well, we obviously appreciate you
Yeah, man. Thank you.
taking time to do this.